Something extraordinary is happening in the precious metals market right now, and the establishment doesn't want you to notice. Gold has surged past $4,500 per ounce, while silver is trading at $72. And this isn't just another bull run. This is a direct challenge to the entire fiat currency system. When @MacroBSunil dropped his latest macro rant, it exploded to over 4,000 views in hours. And for good reason. He's saying out loud what the financial elites are whispering behind closed doors. Confidence in paper money is collapsing, and people are fleeing into real assets. The no-confidence memes flooding social media aren't just jokes. They're a symptom of something much deeper, a fracture in the foundation of the modern monetary system. We're watching a slow-motion vote of no confidence in fiat currencies. And precious metals are leading the charge. Gold and silver aren't rising because of technical patterns or seasonal trends. They're rising because the world is losing faith in central banks, governments, and the paper promises that have backed our economy for decades. But here's where it gets interesting. While everyone is celebrating these historic price levels, there's a dangerous game being played behind the scenes. The same forces that have suppressed metals for years are preparing their counterattack. They're not going to let this challenge go unanswered. The question isn't whether gold and silver will continue higher. The question is whether the system will allow them to. Let's start with the deficit crisis that's driving this entire move. The United States is running fiscal deficits that would have been unthinkable just 5 years ago. We're talking about trillion-dollar shortfalls year after year with no end in sight. The government is spending money it doesn't have, printing currency to cover the gap and hoping nobody notices the debasement. But people are noticing. They're seeing inflation eat away at their purchasing power. They're watching their savings lose value in real terms. And they're doing the math. When you run deficits of this magnitude, you have two choices. You can raise taxes, which is political suicide, or you can print money, which is economic suicide. The Federal Reserve has chosen the latter. They've monetized the debt by creating new dollars out of thin air, flooding the system with liquidity. In theory, this should cause inflation. In practice, it's causing something much more dangerous, a crisis of confidence. Gold and silver are ancient forms of money. They've been stores of value for thousands of years across every civilization. When people lose faith in paper currency, they return to what has always worked. That's what we're seeing now. The move to $4,500 gold and $72 silver isn't speculation. It's preservation. People aren't buying metals because they think they'll get rich. They're buying metals because they're terrified of getting poor. @MacroBSunil's analysis hit a nerve because he articulated what millions are feeling. He called gold and silver a direct challenge to fiat. And he's absolutely right. Every person who converts dollars into metal is casting a vote. They're saying, I don't trust this system anymore. They're saying, I want something real. This is why the establishment is so nervous. This isn't just about commodity prices. This is about legitimacy. The central banks have spent decades trying to convince people that gold is a barbarous relic, that it has no place in a modern financial system. They've promoted stocks, bonds, and real estate as the proper investments for wealth preservation. But now, as their currency experiment unravels, people are rediscovering what their grandparents always knew. You can't print gold, and you can't debase silver. These metals are the ultimate check on government power, and that's exactly why they're surging now. Let's talk about the technical picture, because there's danger lurking in these charts. Silver at $72 is overbought on nearly every time frame. The RSI is screaming, the MACD is stretched, and volume patterns suggest exhaustion. We could easily see a sharp pullback that shakes out weak hands and tests the resolve of new buyers. This is where the establishment will try to regain control. They'll engineer a sell-off, blame it on profit-taking, and use their media allies to declare the rally over. But here's the critical point. Even if silver pulls back to $60 or $55, The fundamental floor is much higher than it was. Analysts are now talking about $80 silver as a realistic floor once the correction plays out. That's because the underlying drivers haven't changed. The deficits are still growing. The money printing is still happening. The confidence crisis is still accelerating. A technical pullback doesn't change the macro thesis. If anything, it gives people another chance to position themselves before the next leg higher. Gold's move to $4,500 is even more significant than silver's rally. Gold is the ultimate safe haven, the asset central banks hold when they don't trust each other's currencies. When gold breaks out to new all-time highs, it's sending a message. The people who run the system don't believe in the system. Central banks around the world have been net buyers of gold for years now. China is accumulating. Russia is accumulating. Even countries that have traditionally held dollars are diversifying into metal. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is documented fact. The no-confidence memes spreading across social media are darkly humorous, but they reflect a serious reality. Young people especially are expressing their distrust of traditional finance through internet culture. They're mocking the Federal Reserve, ridiculing government spending, and celebrating gold and silver as acts of rebellion. This cultural shift is more dangerous to the establishment than any price move. Once a generation loses faith in fiat currency, you can't simply manufacture that faith again with a few interest rate adjustments. There's a generational transfer of wealth happening right now, and it's not going where the elites expected. Boomers are dying and passing down assets, but their children and grandchildren don't want to hold dollars or bonds yielding negative real returns. They want hard assets. They want things that can't be inflated away by a government keystroke. This demographic shift is adding rocket fuel to the metals rally, and it's only just beginning. The establishment's playbook for dealing with rising gold and silver prices is well established. First, they ignore it. Then, they mock it. Then, they try to suppress it through paper market manipulation. We're currently in phase 3. The futures markets are being used to create artificial selling pressure. Large sell orders appear and disappear. Margin requirements get adjusted. Trading platforms mysteriously experience technical difficulties. We've seen this movie and we know how it ends. But there's a problem with the old playbook. The physical market is decoupling from the paper market. You can smash the futures price all you want, but if people can't actually buy metal at that price, the game is over. Dealers are reporting premiums of 20%, 30%, even 40% over spot for physical delivery. This spread is evidence that the paper price is a fiction. The real price is what you have to pay to get metal in your hand, and that price is much higher than the official numbers suggest. This bifurcation of the market is the death knell for price suppression schemes. You can't maintain a rigged game if participants simply stop playing. Industrial users need physical silver for manufacturing. They can't use paper contracts to build solar panels or electronics. When they can't get metal at the official price, they'll pay whatever it takes on the private market. This will force the paper price to catch up to reality, no matter how much the establishment resists. The timing of this metals rally is particularly awkward for governments. We're heading into a period of potential political instability, economic uncertainty, and monetary chaos. Elections are coming, debt ceilings need to be raised, entitlement programs are going bankrupt. The last thing politicians want is a visible, undeniable market signal that their policies are failing. Gold and silver at all-time highs are exactly that signal. They're a report card, and the grade is an F. Some analysts are warning that central banks might resort to extreme measures to crush the metals rally. They could ban private ownership, as the U.S. did in 1933. They could impose windfall taxes on gains. They could declare precious metals trading a threat to financial stability and shut down exchanges. These scenarios sound extreme, but history shows that desperate governments are capable of anything. When Rome debased its currency, it also made hoarding gold a capital crime. Tyranny and currency collapse go hand in hand. But here's the thing about trying to ban gold and silver. It doesn't work. You can pass all the laws you want, but you can't change human nature. People will simply move their trading underground. Black markets will emerge. Premiums will skyrocket. The government will lose tax revenue and create a new class of criminals out of ordinary citizens. It's a lose-lose scenario, which is why even the most authoritarian regimes have struggled to suppress precious metals for long. The real battle isn't between bulls and bears. It's between centralized control and individual freedom. Fiat currency gives governments unlimited power to manipulate the economy. They can finance wars, buy votes, and enrich their allies simply by printing money. Gold and silver take that power away. They impose discipline. They demand balanced budgets and honest accounting. This is why the establishment hates metals. This is why they work so hard to discredit them. Every ounce of gold or silver in private hands is a tiny piece of sovereignty that the government can't control. At Macro B. Sunil's observation about metals challenging the regime cuts to the heart of the matter. This isn't an economic issue. It's a political one. The current monetary system concentrates wealth and power in the hands of a tiny elite. It allows central planners to allocate resources instead of letting free markets work. When that system breaks down, as it inevitably must, the question becomes, what replaces it? Will we return to sound money backed by real assets? Or will we get something even worse, like central bank digital currencies that track and control every transaction? The stakes couldn't be higher. If gold and silver win this battle, we might see a renaissance of economic freedom and prosperity. If the establishment wins, we're headed for a technocratic surveillance state where financial privacy is extinct. The price movements we're watching aren't just numbers on a screen. They're the scorecard in a war over the future of human civilization. One more critical point. The mining sector hasn't kept up with demand. No major new silver mines have been discovered in years. Existing mines are depleting and ore grades are falling. We're consuming silver faster than we're producing it, and this deficit is structural, not cyclical. Even if demand stayed flat, which it won't, we'd still face shortages. But demand is exploding thanks to solar panels, electric vehicles, and electronics. This supply-demand imbalance can only resolve in one direction: much higher prices. The bulls argue that silver could hit $100, $150, even $200 in this cycle. The bears say that's insane, that we'll see a correction back to $40 or lower. Both sides might be right at different times. Markets don't move in straight lines. We'll see violent swings, stomach-churning drops, and euphoric rallies. But the long-term trajectory is clear. As long as governments print money and run deficits, as long as confidence in fiat currencies declines, precious metals will trend higher. It's not a question of if, but when. So here's where we stand. Gold at $4,500 and silver at $72 are not random numbers. They're a message from the market to the regime. We don't believe you anymore. The deficits are unsustainable. The money printing is out of control, and confidence is evaporating. Yes, we might see an overbought pullback in the short term. Silver could test $60 or lower before finding support. But the fundamental floor keeps rising, and analysts are already talking about $80 silver as the new baseline. This isn't financial advice. It's a reality check. The system is broken. The metals are signaling the breakdown, and the establishment will fight back with everything they have. Whether you buy gold, silver, or neither, understand what's happening. This is a vote of no confidence in fiat currency, and the vote is accelerating. The regime is being challenged, and the outcome will define the financial landscape for decades to come. The question isn't whether metals will go higher. The question is whether you'll be positioned when they do.